Good morning, and thank you for waking up with The Wake. I am your host, Jordan Taylor. Of course, I am one half of the YouTube channel, JJ Cruz, and we are so excited that you have chosen to join us for this brand new talk show. And I do just want to make a clarification here. This is a little bit different from a traditional cruise news segment or cruise news show. This is an actual cruise talk show. So we're going to have different segments. We're going to have a lot of fun. And we're going to do more than just cruise news. Just to give you a little bit of a teaser here of things that we're going to talk about. Of course, we're going to address the news. We're going to address what's going on within cruising right now. There is a lot to talk about and a lot to cover. But we're also going to talk about things like money saving tips. I'm going to give you one of the cheapest sailings that you can book right now towards the end of the program in a segment that's called Oh Ship, That's Cheap. I'm also going to share, again, some money saving tips. And then I know that the thing that's on everyone's mind right now is, should I cancel my cruise or should I cruise right now? We're going to dive into all of that. And I'm going to give you my top 6 tips for cruising during Omicron. Now, if you're just joining us, this is going to be a little bit different from how our channel normally does lives. Of course, the super fun lives that you see with myself and Jared on cruise ships, those will be forever. We will always continue to do those, but this is a little bit more like a talk show. So I'm not going to be interacting with comments quite as much. There will be certain times where I will call out a comment, and then towards the end, I will definitely be addressing some questions that may have come up throughout the show. But this will be a little bit more of a formal talk show and not quite as much the calling people out and saying hello to everyone. Like I said, those lives will live forever. We will continue to do those. But this is about knowing what's going on in the industry, waking up with me, having a cup of coffee. So, good morning, everyone. I'm raising my coffee cup here. I'm taking a big sip. That's good. And we need it because we have so much to talk about. If you do have a question, feel free to put it in the chats. But again, a friend of the channel is going to be collecting those questions and sending them to me. And we definitely will not be able to get to probably all questions. However, we will get to those towards the end of the segment here, towards the end of the show. Also, I know that the JJ crew loves sending in super chats and super stickers. If any of those come in throughout this show, I will absolutely be calling those out and thanking you at the very end of the program. So again, we have a good friend of the channel, a producer, if you may, that is watching everything and is taking notes as all of this happens and is going to be sending it to me on my phone right here. This is how we communicate here in 2022. It's 2022. How nuts is that? But let's go ahead and jump into this. We're going to jump in right away by talking about hot topics. This is going to be a segment that will be here every single week. We're going to talk about the hot things that are happening on cruise ships right now and the things, the murmurs that we hear, maybe some of the rumors that we're hearing, and we're going to address them. And I'm going to share my opinion because if you've seen my cruise news videos, you know I am not afraid of expressing what I think. And I'm not afraid of speaking the truth and speaking my truth. So let's just jump into it. The hot topic for today is all about Spectrum of the Seas. Now, if you don't know what's going on with Spectrum of the Seas is doing short cruises out of Hong Kong. And these are called cruises to nowhere. Now, these cruises, they don't have any stops. They leave the Hong Kong port. They go out for 3, 4, or 5 nights. They sail around, and then they come right back. Here's what's going on with Spectrum of the Seas. They just announced some cancellations for the ship today because of a contact tracing issue within the city of Hong Kong. Now, there is a cluster of people that have gotten coronavirus, specifically Omicron. And there's 9 of those people that were in that cluster currently on the ship. Now, these people have all tested negative. However, these people were all on the same plane together with a large number of other people that tested positive. They were all on a Cathay Pacific flight coming into Hong Kong. And here's what happened. The COVID was transmitted by the flight attendants who did not adhere to Cathay Pacific guidelines and rules. They are not supposed to be going out to bars. They're not supposed to be going out and engaging in a lot of social activity. But two of the flight attendants did. They brought Omicron on the plane. They got a lot of people sick, and they exposed 9 people that are on Spectrum of the Seas. Now, this is what this did, and this is how big of a deal this is right now. This is such a big deal that the government of Hong Kong made Spectrum of the Seas come back a day early. So the cruise was cut a day short, dock right outside the pier, and test everyone on the ship, including those 9 people, to make sure that they didn't test positive for COVID. Here's the kicker. This has caused major cancellations with the ship, and they've already canceled multiple cruises on Spectrum of the Seas in the next coming weeks. All 9 people actually tested negative. So they currently have not tested positive for Omicron, but out of an abundance of caution, the Hong Kong government has made Spectrum of the Seas do a shutdown. Now, we're not only seeing that over there in Hong Kong. If you've been following the news at all, you'll know that Norwegian Cruise Line also is experiencing delays and cancellations. Oh, this is so tough, and I know that this is making everyone kind of feel like it is March 2020 all over again. But after passengers had all flown down to Florida, getting ready to get on the NLC, excuse me, let me just make sure I say this right, the NLC getaway here, they canceled the trip. So basically, with 24 hours notice, everyone was stranded down in Florida and had to start making their way back home. They have canceled and suspended sailings on that ship until January 14th. Now, what Norwegian is saying is that they are giving people about $4,000 worth of future cruise credits and refunds to try and make this right. But the Getaway is not the only cruise ship that has done this. The Norwegian Pearl also was on an 11-day voyage, and on day 2 has now turned around. It is coming back into Miami to end the cruise after 2 days. Passengers on the ship said that the captain got on and made an announcement that it is because there are quite a large number of infected crew on board, and that, again, out of an abundance of caution, they want to do everything they can to keep people safe, so they're ending that cruise early. The Norwegian Pearl, that the next sailing is going to be on January 17th. Currently, that one is still going, but up until then, the Norwegian Pearl will come back to Miami and it will be docked in Florida. Whew, these are hot topics. My heart does go out to everyone that's affected by these sailings. I know that it is difficult to have your sailings canceled. I can't imagine what it must be like to be on the Pearl right now as a guest, having to end your vacation early and come back only after 2 days of being out to sea. But I also really feel for the crew on the Norwegian Pearl and on the Norwegian Getaway. I actually know someone on the Pearl who is sick, and my heart goes out to them. I feel terribly that this is happening, and everyone needs to know that this is no one's fault. This is a result of the pandemic. Things like this are going to happen, and I don't think that they're going to stop. I don't think that this is going to be the only ships that end up getting canceled here within the future. Now, I also want to draw attention and talk about Harmony of the Seas, because that is another ship that there has been a lot of COVID cases reported on board. There's murmurs and rumors online that about 100 crew were taken off of Harmony of the Seas and put onto Vision of the Seas because those were infected crew. Then they're using Vision of the Seas as kind of a place for people to recoup and get better. Again, my heart goes out to the crew that is having to deal with that right now. I can't imagine being on a ship where you're working and getting sick and feeling awful. We knew that it was going to happen. It's bound to happen. But again, I'm sorry to see this happening all at once. And just, it is nuts for everybody out there. Now, I do want to move on to a little bit more of cruise news. We're calling this segment, Hey, Captain, What's Happening? And we're going to try to touch on different things specifically within the industry that are going on. Now, I know what I just talked about kind of dabbles in cruise news. Hot topics and cruise news kind of meld together here. But there is a big piece of breaking cruise news that just came out this morning. I actually woke up to this news in my inbox. Norwegian has canceled the restart to 5 of their ships. So Norwegian Sky was slated to restart on March 2nd. That is now canceled. The Pride of America was slated to restart on March 5th. That is now canceled. The Star on April 3rd, the Sun on May 5th, and the Spirit on May 7th. Those sailings have been canceled. Those restarts have been put on pause. And we're waiting to hear from Norwegian when these certain cruises are going to restart again. Um, this is tough. This is really tough. And it's tough for Norwegian because Norwegian is kind of one of the last cruise lines to have restarted here in the industry. Carnival has almost all of its ships out. Royal Caribbean has a large amount of ships out as well. Norwegian only has a few ships that are currently sailing. And so for them to kind of kill the restarts for these additional ships makes me curious as to when Norwegian is going to be able to run again with 100% of their fleet. Will we see all of the Norwegian ships sailing in 2022? I honestly don't know. I thought that 2022 would be the year that we would see all of the cruise ships return. But the fact that we're waking up to this news to certain restarting ships being canceled in May, that does make me concerned for Norwegian, and just trying to find out what's going to happen. Stay tuned to the channel because we'll be following all of this and we will find out more. And we're going to continue to bring you news week after week here on The Wake. Now, let's get into a money saving tip. We put a poll out there to our communities, and a lot of people said, Jordan, I want to learn how you can save me money. I want to learn how I can vacation more. I see JJ Cruise on ships all the time. I see you guys traveling just, 9 out of the 12 months of the year. I want to be able to do the same thing. So each week, we're going to bring you something that is going to be money saving. And I'm really, really excited about this week's tip because this has been the one thing that has allowed Jared and I to live in Indiana, but travel out of Florida and California. And a lot of people, they ask the question, if you're traveling so much, why do you not live in Florida? We live in Indiana because our cost of living is much lower here, and that allows us to travel more. But there is something that we utilize that is very, very practical, and I would encourage you to check this out. And that is the Southwest Airlines Companion Pass. Now, I know not everyone is a fan of Southwest Airlines, and I know this may not be the airline of your choice. They don't allow you to purchase seats. Sometimes your party gets separated. I get it. I know that Southwest has its issues. However, Southwest is one of the few airline credit cards that if you get X amount of points, it will give you a companion pass, which means for 12 calendar months, you will get buy one, get one free flights. Not only that, if you hit companion pass early, let's say here in 2022, you're going to get it for the rest of this year and all of next year. Now, we have a link below in the description of this video. If you're interested in signing up for that credit card, if you sign up through our link, you can get 40,000 points. You need 125,000 points to hit Companion Pass for the year. So that's getting you almost 30% of the way there. Here's what Jared and I do. We put 100% of our expenses, everything that we can, on our Southwest credit card, and we pay it off every month. This way, we don't have mounting debt, but we are getting rewarded for every single time we spend money. We have now had Companion Pass for 3 years in a row. Companion Pass Southwest is also really great at giving you different deals. So giving like 5 points if you eat at certain restaurants or if you shop at certain stores. Throughout the year, every single month, they have these types of deals going on that will allow you to bump your points up a lot faster. Also, if you're already traveling, you're going to get points from flights. So this is just a great way to be able to utilize a credit card for travel and specifically get buy one, get one free flights. So when Jared and I fly, we only ever pay for one flight. Now, here's the other thing. These points that you're accruing with a credit card can be used on flights. So we also will redeem one flight with points, and then the other person flies free. So more often than not, we actually barely ever pay for our flights. We fly for 100% free almost all the time because we put 100% of our expenses on this credit card and pay it off each month. Now, that is the kicker here, though. We of course recommend that you pay your credit card off every single month. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself in a different situation. And those free flights don't actually become free because you're paying all of that extra money in interest. If you want to check that out, check out the link below. I think it's definitely worth your time. And I personally believe it is one of the best travel credit cards out there. I know that Delta, American Airlines, United, I know every airline has their credit card and has their own thing when it comes to how the rewards programs work. We have found the Southwest credit card to be number one in our book. It's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. All right. I want to talk a little bit more about cruising and Omicron because our inboxes are full of people asking us almost daily, Jordan, should I cruise right now? Is it worth it? Everybody is in the roll call pages, seeing what's going on. You see, every day we wake up to another ship being denied at port. Ships have pretty much stopped going to Puerto Rico. I think that they're going to also stop going to any of the Virgin Islands. I think there's a lot of places in the Caribbean that COVID numbers are rising and they're rising rapidly. And here's what I want to say. You need to ask yourself, why are you going on this cruise? If you are going on a cruise to visit a specific port, if you have your bucket list, if your bucket list place to travel to is San Juan, Puerto Rico right now, and you booked this cruise because you want to go to Puerto Rico, I would highly reconsider taking the option of getting a future cruise credit from the cruise lines and rebooking your travel. And I say this because there have been so many people that have been disappointed by ports getting skipped or ships not stopping at certain places and complaining, to the cruise line saying this is not what I signed up for. And you are valid. You are correct. This is not what you signed up for. None of us signed up to be dealing with this pandemic right now and be dealing with the travel disruption that is happening around the world. No one signed up for that. However, you have to understand what's going on. You have to watch the news, watch YouTube, and watch your favorite YouTubers, and you have to know that there's a lot of ports that are getting skipped right now. So if you're going for that reason, I would highly consider just rebooking. I wouldn't cancel outright, but I would just move your booking to a later date. Um, Another reason, if you are in a high risk group or if you are an elderly person that is specifically dealing with any type of high risk medical issues, I would consider it. I would consider, again, just moving your cruise. I would not tell anyone to cancel their travel, but just moving it. Now, if you're someone that wants to just travel, you don't care about the ports and you want to get on a ship and go, there are a lot of people. And in fact, the majority of cruisers right now that are having that experience. They're getting on ships, they're having an amazing time. They're not necessarily getting off the ship and getting onto islands, but they're cruising and they're having a great time. More people are doing that than the stories of people that you're hearing that are getting sick. But I want to preface that with the fact that there are more people than ever getting sick on cruise ships. There are more people than ever that are going into quarantine. And there are high amounts of these cases that are being reported back to the CDC. So if I were you, I would take a look at all of this and I would just decide for myself if it's worth it. I think that that is what you have to do. You have to look at all of the different facts that are out in front of us and you have to decide, look, if I go, here are the risks. Is that worth it for me? And if so, yes, you absolutely should go. If they're not worth it for you, again, check out what the future cruise options are because the future cruise credits that the cruise lines are giving are super generous. Royal Caribbean and Celebrity have their Cruise with Confidence program where you can cancel within 48 hours of sailing and apply that future cruise credit to another sailing in the future. These are situations where the cruise lines are doing a really good job at making things right on behalf of their customers. So again, you have to look at the risk, you have to look at what's worth it for you, and you have to decide if you want to go or not. Now, if you do go, I have my top 6 tips for cruising during Omicron. And I want you to hear these because these are based on people's experiences. So there have been people that have gone, that have contacted this channel and said, Jordan, I am currently quarantined in a cruise ship, and here's what I wish I would have known. So if you do cruise right now, I want to share these tips with you. Number 1, I would highly recommend packing water and staying hydrated. And if you can't pack water, I would take a large water bottle and keep it filled in your room at all times. That is because if you do, or if someone in your party tests positive and you end up going into quarantine, the service has tended to be quite slow. It takes several hours, I hear, for things to get delivered to your room, including water. And when you're not feeling good, when you're feeling crummy, all you want is a nice glass of water. So I would highly recommend pack water. A lot of the cruise lines allow you to take water on the ship. If they don't, or if you can't, take a giant water bottle, fill it up every night before you go to sleep, and keep it in your room so you have access to water no matter what. I know what a lot of you are probably thinking. Oh my gosh, that is so terrible that you would have sick people on a ship that wouldn't have access to water. Everyone has access to water. However, it does take time, from my understanding, to get things delivered to your room. That's things like water, that's things like food. Tip number 2 goes right along with that. If there's non-perishable food items on the ship that are free, let's say a bag of chips or even an apple. I know that fruit is perishable, but for the week that you're going to be there, a piece of fruit, a muffin, something that you can get out of the buffet and take back to your room and keep it, do that. Because again, if you get into a situation and you are starving, you need food or you need water, you want to have that readily available. And you might be the best person in your life that's going to be able to provide that the fastest to you based on things that I'm hearing right now. So bring water, keep it in your room, take food or grab food from areas of the ship, keep that in your room. Bring an O2 monitor and a thermometer with you. Now, if you don't know what an O2 monitor is, it's something that's very easy. You can purchase it on Amazon for about 15 to 20 bucks. It's the little clip that goes over your finger, and it will tell you what your oxygen levels are. If you have any concern about cruising with COVID, that would be a great tool to be able to monitor your oxygen 24/7, as well as a thermometer. Then you're gonna know for sure if you have a fever or not, especially if you're in your room and you're like, you were out in the sun, you just had a couple of beverages, you're like, oh, I am so hot. Well, just take your temperature. Bring a thermometer with you. Stay outside. Now, we all know that COVID is less transmissible outdoors. What are cruise ships good at? Cruise ships are great at providing large spaces outdoors. So, as much as you can, stay in the pool, stay outside, catch that movie on the pool deck, stay outdoors whenever possible. That would be tip number 3. Or tip number 4, excuse me. Tip number 5, avoid packed venues. We've seen this on specific ships, and I've heard from different friends of the channel that there's been different venues on ships that have been packed full with very little social distancing. This is very true for ships that are doing like a vaccinated and non-vaccinated method, where certain vaccinated people can go over here, non-vaccinated people can go over here. Those vaccinated venues, they're still packing out. I think this is true on a lot of cruise ships right now. So try to avoid large groups of people, avoid large gatherings. And when you can, let's say you go into the dining room and they're going to sit you down at a table with other people or right next to other people. Don't be afraid to say no politely. Don't be afraid to say, hey, please, can you seat me over there? Can you seat me somewhere away from people? We don't feel very comfortable sitting on top of other people right now. Please just sit me away from someone. And so you're not right next to somebody. And then last but not least, I would highly recommend during this time, if childcare is open on a cruise ship, do not use it. And I say this because a lot of children that are cruising right now are unvaccinated. And there's a lot of cases on ships where there is spread in the childcare nursery center. And of course, those kids aren't vaccinated. So they get COVID or they bring COVID on the ship. They go to the childcare. They're playing with 20 other kids at a time. Every kid in that childcare is going to get COVID easily. And they're going to bring it back to the family. And then that's how it's going to spread. So if you have young kids, if you're traveling with unvaccinated children, I would recommend just not using the childcare if it's open. I really, really think that that's something that you should think about as a parent, knowing that your kids are unvaccinated and being around other kids that are unvaccinated. You don't know where those families have been. Obviously, people are traveling from all over the country. People are on planes. There is a lot of people that are flying or get up in an airplane and take off their mask. And it's just not, travel is just not in the best of places right now when it comes to relying on other people around you to keep you safe. It is your responsibility to keep you and your family safe during this time. because unfortunately you can't. It's just like driving, right? You take your car out, you have to make sure that you're the one that is being responsible behind the wheel because you can't always trust other drivers that are all around you. Sorry for that rant, but those are my top tips for cruising during Omicron right now. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. In terms of canceling your cruise, I want to go back and revisit this because there was something I didn't talk about that I want to come clean about. Jared and I, we have canceled 2 cruises, but not for reasons that you might think. This month, in the month of January, we had 3 cruises scheduled. We were supposed to go on Celebrity Millennium for our anniversary. Our anniversary is on Friday. We were supposed to go on Carnival Radiance. That was going to be our first time trying Carnival again after we said, hey, we're going to hold on Carnival for a bit. And then we were going to go on Navigator, Royal Caribbean's Navigator of the Seas out of Los Angeles. Now, with all of the COVID cases happening, we had to look at this and we had to say, all right, there's a lot of flights getting canceled right now. There are a lot of people that think that they're picking up COVID in airports, on airplanes, in hotels, wherever you're maybe traveling. We had to look at our travel schedule and we had to say, if we did get COVID, what would be the one cruise out of these 3 that we would want to go on? And we canceled the other 2 because we just did not want to miss our Navigator sailing. We are sailing on Navigator of the Seas later this month, and it is a 7-night cruise to the Mexican Riviera. We have wanted to take this cruise for a year. We've been looking forward to this cruise for a long time. And that was the cruise that was the most important to us. We were like, you know what? We need to pick one so that we can lower our level of risk in getting COVID on these other ships because we might have to miss this one. So if we went on, let's say, Celebrity Millennium for our anniversary, which was just a weekend cruise, Carnival Radiance was also just a weekend cruise, these 3 short night sailings, and we got COVID, that would kill us for the rest of the month in terms of our schedule. We would not be able to travel anymore. We also knew with flights getting canceled that there was a risk of us missing ships and missing ports of call. The Millennium cruise ship, actually the Millennium and the Carnival Radiance, we paid for out of pocket. So we didn't want to risk just not getting to the port. A lot of things here that just led us to deciding we wanted to cancel those 2 so that we can ensure that we're going on Navigator. So right now, we are still going on Navigator of the Seas later in January. We did not cancel out of a fear of getting COVID. We did not cancel out of, concern that we would get very sick. We have our vaccines. We are boosted. We've also had COVID already. So we canceled because we didn't want to have to miss out on Navigator. And we really, really, again, we've been looking forward to this cruise for a long time. But we wanted to be honest with you, and I wanted to tell you exactly where we are and what's going on with JJ Cruise this month. You will see us on less ships because we just decided that it was going to be the best idea for us to take 1 instead of 3. But of course, when we're on that ship, we'll be live and you'll be able to see us, just like you'll be able to see this show every single Wednesday at 10 a.m. A little plug there for you. Okay, I want to move on to this next segment, and I'm really excited about this next segment. This is called Crew of the Week. Now, every single week, we are going to be taking submissions from you, our viewers, and we will be highlighting a crew member of the week. This week, I don't have someone only because I wanted to introduce this segment and I wanted to give the opportunity for those of you watching at home to be able to share the specific crew member that you think should be highlighted here on The Wake. So in the description below, I have our email address. If there is a crew member that has specifically touched your life or think is going above and beyond on any ship, on any cruise line, feel free to write in, share their information, share what they do on the ship, and then just give me like a little paragraph. I'm talking like no more than 5 sentences of why that crew made your cruise incredible. Every single week, we're going to be highlighting someone here on the show, and we would love to hear from you. Who is the crew that you would love to see get a nomination and get talked about on The Wake? I think it's amazing. We love our crew. There's so many people that we can talk about here on the show. We've talked about our experience on Symphony of the Seas. We've talked about our experience on the celebrity ships over and over and over again. Crew are incredible and make your cruise amazing. Okay, hold on. Let me take a sip of coffee here. That is so good. We took our friends on a cruise for the first time in October with us, and they were just shocked by the service. And if you've never cruised before, it can be shocking. I've always said if you can take and bottle whatever training program the cruise lines use for their crew members and apply it to other places in life, in the world, can you imagine the customer service that we would have? The customer service would be phenomenal. I come from a customer service background, so I'm a big believer in very positive, good customer service. And I just think cruise lines, specifically crew, are the best customer service that you can get across the board. So send in those submissions. We definitely want to hear from you. Yeah, check out the email below and tell us who you think deserves to be shouted out on the show. All right. We're going to get into another segment here, and this segment is pretty fun. The segment is called Roll Call. This is going to be another opportunity for you sitting at home watching the show to be able to write in with a story or a screenshot. I want to see, I'm not even going to say just funny things. I want to see things that you find funny or interesting that are being talked about in roll call pages. If you don't know what a roll call page is, when you decide to go on a cruise, you can go on Facebook and you can search for your sailing. So let's say I'm going to go on Carnival Mardi Gras on my birthday, July 5th. So I'm going to search Carnival Mardi Gras, July 5th, 2022. There should be a Facebook group popped up where you can click and join that Facebook group. And that's going to be all the other people that are going to be on your sailing. And that's where you can talk to people, meet people before the cruise. Sometimes you can find fun activities like slot pulls or meetups, bar crawls within the group. And you can get to know the people in that group before you ever even meet them face to face. Roll call pages are amazing. We love them. But roll call pages are also sometimes hilarious in the fact that there are things that are put in roll call pages that are quite funny, experiences that people may have had that just bring a lot of joy to your soul. And we're going to share them here on the talk show. So if you're in a roll call page and you see someone that has said something either hilarious about their experience or something that, again, you just find quite interesting, please, again, check out the email below and send it into us so we can share. I have a couple here that I'm going to share right away that I think are so funny. And these are from roll calls past. Because whenever we see things like this, we save it. And we save it for this exact thing that we never knew we were going to be doing. So here's a complaint from a roll call page. This is the perfect example of what we want this segment to be. Time for my complaint. I'm sorry. I get it. We've all been home in our own kitchens for the last year or so. However, licking your fingers after the use of each tongue on the buffet is kind of nasty. If you would, please stop. Grab a napkin or just put the food on your plate. Don't lick your fingers at the buffet. All right, I want to. This is a point in time where I'm going to take a look at the comments section. I want to hear from people. Do you lick your fingers at the buffet? If you do, is that okay? If not, we want to hear from you. Oh my goodness. This is the exact example of things that we want to see come in the email so that we can talk about it here on the show. Lots and lots of people saying, yuck, that's gross. No finger licking. No, it is quite disgusting. Okay, here is a second one for you. And again, this is another good one. PSA. For those that are planning on sailing at Carnival Mardi Gras, do not wait to go to the bathroom. I repeat, do not wait until you absolutely have to go to the bathroom. You will be sorry. The contraptions that they call doors that open and close will cause distress in all kinds of forms you were not prepared for. You're welcome. Now, I have sailed on Carnival Mardi Gras, and I also can back this person up. The doors in the public restroom areas on the Mardi Gras were somehow just not well thought out. They take a good 30 to 45 seconds to open and close. and you just stand there while you're having to wait and go to the bathroom. I probably could have run up to my stateroom in that amount of time to use the bathroom because those doors took forever to use. All right. We're going to move on here to the next portion of our show. And this is what everyone has been waiting for. We're calling this segment, I said it at the beginning, I'm going to say it again. Oh, ship, that's cheap. I'm going to share one sailing every single week that you can book right now. That is one of the cheapest cruises out there. This week, it is Royal Caribbean's Allure of the Seas sailing out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida for 2 on a 6-night cruise to the Western Caribbean starting September 25th until October 1st, 2022. You can sail for a total, this includes everything, taxes and port fees and cruise fare, for $1,219. That is incredibly, incredibly cheap. What a great opportunity to cruise on one of the world's largest cruise ships. We just got off of Allure of the Seas. You can go check out that ship tour on our channel. But Allure of the Seas is an incredible, incredible ship. This is for a guaranteed balcony room. So this is not just for an inside room. So guaranteed balcony means that the cruise ship is going to pick the balcony for you and they're going to place you somewhere on the ship. $1,219. Now, if you are interested in booking that, again, we can book your travel for you. JJ Cruise is now, specifically myself, I am now a travel agent. You can check out my email in the description below. It is jordan@lovelandnc.com. But what an incredible opportunity to sail on Allure of the Seas at such a low cost. I mean, that is incredibly, incredibly cheap for one of the Oasis class ships. The Oasis class ships are huge. There's tons to do. There's a Broadway style show. There's an aqua show. There's an ice skating show. There's one of the biggest casinos you could ever get on a ship. Listen, it sells itself. I don't have to do any more selling for you. However, great deal. Let us know if you'd ever want help booking that or any of your other travel, because we would be happy to do so. Coffee is getting cold. I'm doing too much talking. All right. We are going to jump here into some of our Q&A. So I know that there were some people that had questions. Again, a good friend of the channel has been sending these to me throughout our time here. So we're going to just go down and we're going to answer some of the questions. Thank you also to people that said that they are so excited about this show. Lisa asked, is this talk show going to be live every morning? So Lisa, this is actually going to be once per week right now. However, we are piloting this show. So this show is brand new. We're trying it out for 8 weeks. So this is going to be episode 1 of 8 that's going to fall every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So tune in every Wednesday. And at the end of the 8 weeks, we're going to assess. The time could change, things change. You know, when you have a new show out there, they take feedback every single week. And again, if anyone wants to send feedback to the email below, please feel free to, because we would love to hear from you. If you like the show, if the show is what you're looking for, if there's things that you'd like us to share, feel free to email us that information. But Lisa, hopefully that answers your question. Thank you so much. Chili says, great for show. I'm off to my show at 11 a.m. If you don't follow Chili's Cruises, what are you even doing in your life? Chili does have a daily show every day at 11 a.m. EST. He shares great cruise news and additional information. Sometimes he has guests on his show. I'd highly recommend after this show, you hop over to Chili's channel and check out his cruise news show, because it is every day. He is someone that I look up to, doing this every single day. I can't imagine. Jane says, with regards to keeping food in your cabin, bring Ziploc bags for storage, cookies, and pizza in your fridge. Jane, that is a great idea. Thank you so much for that. I'd also recommend on the cruise ship fridges, sometimes you can turn the temperature all the way up to make it really cold, because sometimes they're more like coolers than they are fridges. So before putting food in, my only tip would be make sure that it's turned all the way to cold. But Jane, that is an amazing tip. Thank you so much for sharing. Danette says, I don't know what to do now. I'm scheduled for Oasis on spring break. Danette, hopefully some of our tips for either cruising during Omicron or, trying to factor in the decisions whether you should cruise or not. I will say this: if you're looking at other countries and you're watching the case counts in other countries, so you're watching places like South Africa, you're watching places in Europe, South Africa specifically, the spike was like that. It went up, it went down. People are saying on the news that the peak of this variant will probably happen this month. So I will say this, I do think that we're going to see that peak go up. Obviously, we've already seen it spike up very quickly. I think it will come down just as quick as well. That's just what I am seeing experts say. Of course, coronavirus is completely unpredictable, but I am hoping by March, April, we're going to be in a much better place and things are going to look very, very different. My producer is sending me questions faster than I can keep up with them here. Jack says, question: what are your thoughts on the shortage of test kits? How will this affect cruising in the short term? Jack, that's a great question. I think that cruise lines are going to have to start to do things differently. And I think this is not confirmed. Norwegian is actually going to start testing people at the port. Um, I think we may see that happen across all cruise lines. Cruise lines may take the testing efforts onto themselves. This would be a smart idea in general because you're going to be able to catch people that have caught COVID within the 48-hour window between taking your test and boarding the ship. And I think that that is another point where people are bringing COVID onto these ships. So if cruise lines can actually control the testing within the terminal before people get on board, we could see a better success rate of having lower numbers on the ship. And it could also help with that very issue that you're bringing up, the shortage of test kits. Cruise lines are out there already doing this. Disney Cruise Line and Virgin Voyages are already testing people at the port. We know that it is possible, and we know that they can do this. Royal Caribbean did it. We had to do it for Adventure of the Seas in June. They were testing people as you came in. The only thing I don't know is if they're going to do a charge for it, because I could see that happening as well. Oh my goodness, TV, thank you so much for that super chat. TV sent in a $5 super chat and said, great first show. Looking forward to more. Thank you so much, TV. We really, really appreciate that. Teresa Lane says, that's a great deal on Allure. It certainly is. For that size of ship and for 6 nights, it's a phenomenal deal. Here is a question from Lee. I'm loving the format of the show. Looking forward to next week. Thank you so much, Lee. That is the type of feedback that we would love to hear. So again, if you have those comments, if you have other questions that you want to see us talk about, feel free to email the email below in the description. Just making sure I didn't miss anything here. Tamara says, my husband uses Southwest for work travel and I have the companion pass. We flew to Hawaii almost free using his points and my companion pass. See, that is the perfect example. Thank you so much for sharing that of what the companion pass can do. The companion pass really does open up your world for more travel. So again, check out the link below because it is a great tool to have, especially if you're wanting to travel a lot here in 2022. And then we have Loveland and Sea Travel. Hello, Loveland and Sea. That is the agency that I'm working with, watching my favorite YouTuber. Thank you so much, Beth, and thanks for joining here. And Deepa says, adding the wake with JJ Cruise to my cruise news, along with La Lido Loca and Royal Caribbean blog. Deepa, thank you so much. You know, we do want to be a source of information here for people, and we want to bring you all of the information that will help you decide on what you're going to do with your cruise, what cruise to take, and where you should be going here in the next year. Guga and Rob and Scott Singer both say, great first show. Thank you so much, guys. We really appreciate it. Guga and Rob and Scott Singer are incredible content creators. I saw other content creators here in the chats this morning. I just glanced over briefly and saw Nautical Nurse Nancy. I saw Hoffman Happy Travels. We love it when our other fellow creators stop by, and we love you guys. But Guga and Rob, Scott Singer, thank you so much for the shout out. Thank you for being here. If you don't know who those guys are, go check out their channel. It's Guga and Rob and Scott Singer Cruises. They're not all together, but they are all amazing. Deepa sent a super chat for $15.22. Great first show on the date 1/5/22. Deepa, thank you so much. We really appreciate the support. Any type of super chats, super stickers, all go right back into the channel. Hopefully you've seen our channel grow over the last year, not only in numbers, but in terms of content that we're doing and the way that we do things. You'll notice that we have this incredible studio mic in front of me. We've got this nice desk. These are the type of things that we invest in with the money that supports the channel. So thank you again to those that have sent super chats. If we've missed any, I apologize, but we really appreciate it. Okay. It is 10:45, which means that is our show today. I want to just send a thank you out to everyone who watched today. We had, I know, I looked over at one point, we had 170 people here watching. Thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully, you liked the show and you found the show helpful and useful. We will be back again next Wednesday with more cruise news, more incredibly fun segments. I'm going to bring you another super cheap cruise that you can book. I'm going to bring you another money saving tip, and I'm going to bring you a lot more information. And as we're leaving here, oh my goodness, we have another super chat coming in from Nautical Nurse Nancy. Nautical Nurse Nancy, thank you so much for being here. Another incredible creator. If you don't know Nancy, her and her husband have some of the most fun lives I have ever seen. Nancy says, I'm with Deepa. We appreciate you, your efforts, bringing us along with your cruises and your opinions. God bless. Nancy, thank you so much. Oh my goodness. And as, as we're getting off here, we have one more from First Sergeant Richard sending in $15. Thank you so much for that. Thank you for that $15. You guys are awesome. We absolutely appreciate you. Please make sure you have the bell turned on to our channel and that you are subscribed, because those are the only way that you're going to really get the notification that we're live here next Wednesday. Set your alarms Wednesdays at 10 a.m. for the wake. We will be live every single week. We thank you so much for joining us. And until next time, ciao for now.